Welcome, everybody. My name is Mina Jane. I'm the director of the Ashland Public Library in Massachusetts, and I'm here with Hannah and Lily of Read My Lips Boston, and we're going to be talking about hot queer summer romance book recommendations. And you can tell we're all like excited. So, a couple things. Want to say thanks to the Friends of the Ashland Public Library for supporting all of our programs. We just couldn't do this fun stuff without them. And I'd like to thank Hannah and Lily for letting us share this program with other libraries, because of course, when libraries work together, we make magic. And if you have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. I will moderate those to Hannah and Lily as we go. If you want to use the chat to just chat with each other, feel free to do so. I'm sure you have lots of things that you've been reading that you could recommend, and I will include those in a recap email that I send out with all the lists that Hannah and Lily are talking about today. So without further ado, like I said, Lily and Hannah of Read My Lips Boston, they're huge proponents of all kinds of romance and are doing amazing work in Boston in bringing all kinds of voices in the romance world to light. Thank you for being here.
Well,
Thank
thank
you
you,
for
Mina.
having
It's so fun
us.
for us to be here. And yes, we have lots of books that we're excited to talk about. And yeah, Hannah, do you want to say a few words first about what we are, what we do, and then we
Sure.
can
Yeah,
dive.
so for those of you who don't know about Read My Lips Boston, uh, Lily and I are twin sisters. We started this little bookshop because we're avid romance readers. We both here with co-aquarium plants, and when we were growing up, we didn't often see ourselves in the books we read. And there's so many more people, and especially queer people, people of color, who historically haven't seen themselves represented in popular literature. So we co-founded Read My Lips Boston, which is a mobile romance bookshop centering these underrepresented voices.
Fabulous.
And we're super excited about today's theme, which, as Mina said, is Hot Queer Summer. We will be covering books that are set either during the summer or in warm, sunny places, a beach, maybe wine country in California kind of thing. So yeah, excited to get started.
Love it. Okay, so let's go to the first book. Oops, I lost my, there we go.
Awesome. Yes, Disco Witches of Fire Island is probably the most heartbreaking book I've read this season so far. It does have a happy ending. We wouldn't be talking about it here if it didn't. But it's set, as you can guess from the title, on Fire Island, which is the province town of New York. It's set in the summer of 1989, during the AIDS crisis, which has a pretty heavy presence throughout the book. And I think that the author, Blair Fell, does a really great job of balancing that, and all the grief and loss that comes with it, with moments of joy and connection and hope. I also love stories with magical realism, and this book has it in absolute spades. Basically, a coven of queer witches that perform their spells by dancing disco is fabulous. And the story is huge on themes that I love, like chosen family and kind of different levels of love, different levels of romance. And as a side note, I recently watched Fire Island with Bowen Yang and Margaret Cho. Highly recommend that as well. But yes, this is one of my top books of the summer, easily.
Wow. How did you hear about this book?
I really credit Bookstagram. I spend a lot of time on there. And this came up in my feed. I saw some really thoughtful reviews of it. And I'm always intrigued with well done historical romance covering marginalized
Oh,
communities.
we talked about how old I am. I refuse to believe that the 80s is historical romance or historical fiction. Nope. Nope.
I understand.
Hey, the 90s and early 2000s are historical now.
No, no, no. The 70s you can consider historical, not the 80s and forward. So, but I do
There.
know, right?
There's a line.
There is a line, and I have hit it. Like I can't do it with the 80s, but I love this concept of like Fire Island and love there because people associate it with something so different.
Yeah. I also just love this cover, right? Like it's
Mhm.
just so delightful.
It tells you like so much about what you can expect to find in that book. And they say don't judge a book by its cover, but it can be really important. Like the cover is important, you know.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I think that I've read because also if you get a cover that doesn't really tell you what's in the story or if it misleads you, it's very jarring.
Yes,
So
100%. It makes you think the book is about something else or has a particular vibe, and then it totally doesn't. Yeah.
yeah.
If we're
So
talking about how things were in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, it's so interesting to see how covers changed during those decades. That could be a separate uh Zoom call.
we could talk about that a lot. It does come up quite often in my programs because a lot of people don't like those cartoony right now,
Right.
and
Yes,
I'm one of them.
true. Those are very popular right now.
Yeah, and they are so misleading. It leads you to think that the book is about kids or teenagers.
Hmm.
It could be as open door as they come.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like them personally. I totally understand why people don't, though.
We're allowed to have our opinions, I guess. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. This sounds awesome.
So this book, Hammer Chain Luck, uh, it is everything to me. It it had the main character, um, the main character is non-binary. We meet them when they are just being released from prison. And it turns out they've been broken out by none other than their ex-girlfriend. But and so like that kind of, there's this tension that builds between them. There's a heist. The most important thing here is the heist. They're working on this heist to go after this really corrupt billionaire who's got all these plans to basically hack everyone's minds.
Hmm.
And it's set on a planet that is inspired by Hawaii. And so a lot of these characters use the dialect that I guess is called Hawaiian Pidgin. There's a lot of talk about Hawaiian cuisine and different aspects of Hawaiian culture. And Lisa says that she's from Hawaii. That's awesome. But while this book is set on a different planet, it's futuristic, it really embraces the different aspects of that culture. And so there's this heist going on. Everyone involved in the heist is a woman, non-binary, they're queer. There are a whole bunch of people that just come together and they're like, we're taking down this guy.
Mhm.
And it also deals with a lot of really interesting issues. It's a really good social commentary on what happens when people grow up with a lack of resources.
Mhm.
What happens when gentrification pushes out the people who have been there for decades and raised their families there.
Mhm.
When when people feel like they have no other option. Um, so it's a really emotional book for me. There's a lot of twists and turns, but it does have a happy ending, and this happy ending made me cry.
Aw.
Really deeply affected me.
Aw.
And even though it takes place in this dystopian reality, a lot of people consider it a cozy fantasy, so take it with you to the beach. There's a lot of stressful things happening, a lot of fast-paced adventures, but at the same time, it's not stressful.
Because it's cozy.
It's cozy.
Is it a graphic novel?
It is not a graphic novel, although the cover makes it look like a graphic novel. I
Yeah.
feel like it would make a great graphic novel.
Well, I love graphic novels, so I would be here for that.
And the author's local.
Oh, really?
Hmm. Yes.
Oh.
They were actually at the Beaumarket Book Fair, right? And I think they had another recent event at SideQuest Books and Games in
They were
summer.
at SideQuest Books and Games just last night talking about
Oh
this
my
very
gosh. Oh, I think they're so fabulous.
I might have to invite them to my next rom-con.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Brittany went
Brittany
to
went
the
to the
event
event
last
last night.
night.
Oh, I am so jealous, Brittany. That's awesome.
So I actually can't see the chat and stuff, so feel free to let me know if anything interesting is happening. It sounds like it is. Okay, so
Yeah.
heading on to the next book. Oh, this looks so good. I love Crystal Maldonado.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love Crystal Maldonado, and she's also local. I believe she lives in Western Massachusetts. We just have so many great authors
I'm
right
writing this
here in
down.
Massachusetts, which is so cool. Um, I just finished this book. I've been looking forward to reading it for so long, and it did not fail me. It's a road trip romance. It covers an estranged group of three friends after their final summer of high school. They're looking ahead to college and all of the kind of uncertainty and sort of emotions that that final summer before starting something big and new and unknown brings up. And they're all queer, they're all Latina. There's a lot of also excellent body positivity and disability representation in this book too. Our main character, Chloe, has ADHD and time blindness and some of the other symptoms that come with that. I think it's a very realistic depiction of what it's like to live with neurodivergence. So I really, really loved this book. The romance was, it was sort of like estranged friends to lovers over the course of this road trip, where they're all trying to kind of discover themselves, and come to terms with things before, they head off to their futures. I think that the romance it was delightful. It wasn't the main focus here. The main focus was really the chosen family and the coming of age and the kind of coming together of these friends who are reuniting to go see this band that they idolized as kids.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Oh, it would be like my
Yeah.
daughter going to see One Direction.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
it's a heartwarming book. It's not stressful. It's also, I guess I would describe it as cozy.
Mhm.
There's low angst, but it's very, very heartwarming.
Mhm.
I love the theme of found family and
Yeah.
people forming these connections with each other. That was all I liked
Yes.
about Hannah Jane Luck. That concept of found family, people loving each other and supporting each other. And I
And
think
I
that's
feel
part of
like
what makes.
that's very important in queer literature and queer
Yeah.
romance.
Mhm.
Because if you're a queer person, you can't always take it for granted that your family will be there after you come out.
Mhm.
So chosen family is such an important theme, I feel like, in queer romance.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, especially like today, this seems like you need to have
Yeah.
something to get you through, right? But I
Need your
is this like a YA book, would you consider?
I would consider it upper YA.
Hmm.
And there's a little bit of spice. It's closed door.
Hmm.
And they're all 17, 18, so definitely upper, not quite new adult.
Okay. And it's like it's almost like a sweet romance, like that side romance is like
Yeah. It's
okay.
a sweet road trip romance. It's really about these friends and, kind of they grew apart. Now they're growing back together. What does that look like? What does it mean to embrace someone who's grown and changed?
Hmm. I love it. Yeah, because they're gonna change. They know it, right? Like that's why they're having this one last blast. That's awesome. And I love the Fat Chance Charlie Big. I love that book.
I also, speaking about the cover, just to go back to that debate a little bit, you know how sometimes when your favorite book is made into a movie,
Hmm.
or when your favorite written book is made into an audiobook, and the voice is wrong or wasn't what you pictured, or, the actor portraying whoever your favorite character was doesn't do it quite the way you saw in your head. That's why I like these kind of more abstract cartoon covers, because they allow you to still imagine for yourself what the characters really look like, what they sound like. But
Mm,
I also understand that it's a different vibe than some people want.
that's really interesting.
Right? I've
Yeah.
thought a lot about this. I think we all have.
So like just the guy without a shirt with no head is doesn't tell you a
Yeah,
lot either, right? So
exactly. That's true.
okay. So I know we have to get through a bunch more, so I'm going to keep going, but I'm really enjoying the conversation. Okay. The romantic.
The Romantic Agenda is one of my favorite romance books. For anyone who's experienced unrequited love, this book will definitely touch your heart. Uh, so Joy is our protagonist and one featured on the cover. Joy is in love with Malcolm, her best friend since college. But Malcolm is in love with Summer.
Hmm.
And and so he's invited Joy to come on this trip to a cabin in the woods on the lake with him and Summer so that she can entertain Summer's friend Fox, who is in love with Summer.
Sounds
And
complicated.
What's the big deal about summer?
it's very complicated. Yeah, this this will get touched on in the story. I think Joy would also agree. What's the big deal about Summer? So she agrees to go along on this trip to steal her best friend, Malcolm, from Summer. Very similar to My Best Friend's Wedding, which, yes, gets a mention in this book. And there's a lot of, it's a really interesting discussion about asexuality in this book. Joy and Malcolm are both asexual, but they approach relationships and sexuality in a different way. And so this book actually covers the differences, of people's experiences across that asexuality spectrum.
Hmm.
And yeah, I personally learned a lot about this book that I didn't understand before. And the author, Claire Kahn, is asexual.
I,
So this book has the trope of fake dating, which is so fun. Joy and Fox decide, well, we're being pushed together so that, Summer and Malcolm can go have a romantic weekend. We will just do what they want and fake date the hell out of this weekend to see if it annoys them. And it does. It's very hilarious to watch. But along the way, as happens with fake dating, Joy and Fox actually hit it off.
Hmm. You know
So,
what's so funny? This is why I love talking about books with my sister. She talks about books as if she's sharing gossip.
oh my God, it is
Like it's
sharing
just
gossip. It's literary gossip.
I really thought you were going to say that Joy ends up with Summer.
That
Oh
would
my
be even
gosh.
better.
Then you know
I
there's
would
a
ship
deal.
them.
I
I
need
would
someone to
ship
write
them.
fanfic of this book where Joy and Summer end up together. That would be something to read.
I think that would be also hilarious because I think that, the way that you describe them and that everybody's sort of in love with this Summer person, there must be something about her. So like maybe Joy will
Right.
see it too in the sequel.
Yeah, who knows?
This
Because
is
at
so
the,
great.
I won't spoil it, but the ending somewhat, it's a happy ending, but
Hmm.
there's room for. But another thing that's did Lisa say that, oh, you thought Joy and Summer would end up together too? Ah, that makes me so happy.
My gosh, this is such a ship. Someone needs to write this.
Someone really needs to write this. If you go on AO3, I bet you there's at least one fanfic about this pairing.
I'm gonna go looking for it.
Good.
Funny. And Hannah, you were saying there was one other thing you wanted about this book?
Yes. So Joy and Malcolm are both black. So this book is about asexuality is also about the experience of being Black. And so the place that they are vacationing in, when Joy is going to the grocery store, she's like, okay, I'm gonna count how many Black people I see. Um, and she also brings up other things like, interracial relationships. Summer and Fox are both white. And then there's talk about raising children. And so Joy, does wonder like, oh, how is Summer gonna feel about being in an interracial relationship? And so those are front of mind for Joy.
Mhm.
It was interesting to see it from her perspective because as a white person, I wouldn't necessarily have known that these were issues that she might grapple with.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I'm gonna definitely pick that up, but I'm gonna like in my mind think that she's heading in that direction. Okay. Oh, this looks amazing too. Oh, is it a monster romance?
It is. It is a merman romance,
Ooh.
and is also you might gather from my recommendations today. I love historical romance with magical realism. I am a sucker for it. This also is set in New York. It's set on Coney Island in 1910s New York. And our protagonist is Benny, who is a Puerto Rican immigrant who is a metal worker. He finds his way to this sideshow and befriends all the performers, kind of finds a steady gig within that amusement park. And again, the theme of chosen family is so prevalent here. And you can definitely tell I have a type of book. And the author, Vanessa Vita is also a really talented illustrator. So you'll see her illustrations throughout this book as well. And it just adds to kind of the atmosphere of the whole thing. Really lyrical writing, really poetic expressions of love between our two protagonists, and a really, really lovely coming together of that found family of so-called freaks.
Mm.
So this book also made me think of another book that I read recently, which was A Showgirl's Rules for Falling in Love by Alice
Yeah.
Murphy, where there was kind of a similar found family trope, where you know this group of vaudeville performers and again so-called freaks kind of found their place in what was kind of paradoxically a safe space for them.
Mhm.
So that's kind of a tangent, but it made me think of that in a lot of ways. And the romance here is very sweet. It's very fated mates, like very poetic. And there is a happy ending, even though you think there might not be at various.
Mm.
Interesting. So if any of this is open door, I have to ask my shape of water question, like the mermen, how do they? It's,
That is a good question. So it's not really open door. The spice level is fairly low. It's much more about the romantic connection, hurt comfort trope kind of dynamic,
yeah,
which we all
details.
love. And I think in order to get the answer to that question, one will probably have to read like a Kimberly Lemming version of this book, to learn more about the mechanics, I guess, of
Mm-hmm.
And isn't
Kimberly Lemon does put some thought into that.
as she should, as we all should.
You should. Yes.
Doesn't Vanessa live in the area as well in New England somewhere?
Oh, oh, does she?
I'm
Oh,
gonna
that
look
would be
that
so
up.
cool.
I feel like I've seen her at a list someplace. Okay, we have time for maybe two more.
Yes.
Cool for the summer. So this book reminded me a bit of Greece. When I first opened it and read the first chapter, um, our main character, Larissa, is chatting with her friends at the locker. She's starting her senior year, and then she turns, and who walks in but the gorgeous girl that she just had a steamy summer with. Suddenly, she's at Larissa's school, and that causes a lot of drama and angst because Larissa has not come out to her friends or her family as bi.
Mm.
And she and this girl kind of left things open-ended. They they broke up because they thought they were never going to see each other again. And now that they're in the same high school, they're kind of sidestepping around each other. There's hurt feelings. Um, and Larissa at the same time finally gets the attention of her longtime crush, Chase. So there's a lot of confusion around that too. This does have a happy ending, and I really like that there's, a casual mention of, different people, in the queer community. There's a side character who's Arrow Ace. They're talking about asexuality at a summer party. Um, there's a lot of Larissa's friends are queer.
Mhm.
Um, and at the end, she, becomes more comfortable in her bisexuality. And we get to see what happens next.
Okay, no spoilers, but does she end up with both of them? Okay, all right, I'll have to read it.
You have to read it.
Okay. All right, let's go on. I love Jasmine Guillory.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love Jasmine Guillory. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Jasmine Guillory has written 9 delicious romance novels. And this is her first queer romance novel. It's a sapphic romance, as you can probably tell from the cover. And it's an opposites attract, um, dating lessons romance set in Napa Valley, California. So there's wine and sunshine and salsa dancing and lots of fun stuff. But what happens when the student becomes the master and starts using her flirting lessons on her teacher? Well, you might have to read this and find out. But it's a really, really delightful friends to lovers, no third act breakup. If you're tired of that kind of thing, this book does not have it. And it's a really sweet romance with open door spice.
Mhm. I do like the cover on this one with the silhouettes. It's
It's a great
beautiful.
cover.
But I'm
Yeah, the silhouettes are like a nice way of kind of bridging that line, right? Yeah,
Yeah, that is a
it's a
good
classy
point.
cover.
I'm gonna rush on to the one more, so I think we can fit this one
Yes, and I will attempt to summarize this.
in.
This is a sapphic celebrity romance that takes place on the set of a B-list horror film. Um, One of the FMCs is a special effects makeup artist, and the other is this like gorgeous B-list star that she has been crushing on for years. I love a good celebrity romance. It's the best kind of wish fulfillment. And this book also has excellent commentary on institutional sexism and the pitfalls, the pros and cons of second wave feminism. You there's many ways to be a woman. I love that this book explores that.
Mhm.
I'm gonna cheat and go for the last one. Oh, that was the last one. Good job. Oh my gosh. Okay. So what is this?
So we have a number of events coming up this month. We have multiple pop-ups through the summer. We have this Saturday a free wine tasting and pop-up at the Urban Grape in the South End. So if you like wine, especially if you've read Flirting Lessons, come on by. Then on Sunday, we will be at Pride in the Park in Malden, popping up there alongside All She Wrote books, which we're very excited about. And we have a romance writing workshop happening in Somerville next week. So those are just a few of our upcoming events.
Yeah. So do you have a website or should we follow you on Instagram?
Yes, we have a website. Read My Lips Boston with dashes in between, dot square, dot site. And of course, you can always find us on Instagram at Read My Lips Boston.
And
Awesome.
thank you so much to Mina and our
Yes.
host, Ashland Public Library. We love you.
Yeah, this was so
Aw.
fun, as always.
It really is. I really appreciate all of your thoughts and the fact that you really went with the the hot queer summer just in time for hot queer summer.
Yes, right? Everyone's going to the beach. You need a book to read.
That's right. So love it. Thank you so much. And for everybody who's been here and all of your comments, I love hearing about it. And I hope you have a wonderful summer of reading, reading, reading. So Lily, Hannah, I'll see you again soon.
Yes,
See
see you
you
soon.
soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.